So here we will be discussing about the central nervous system. I wanted to make a video on neuronal firing, but I got to know that a lot of students have this confusion on the different parts of the central nervous system and they have confusion about this particular topic. So I wanted to clear your confusion. I wanted to clear out the doubts that you might have related to this topic, and that is why I'm making this video. Now let's get started. Now I want to make this exciting, of course. I want to make this easy for you to understand. That is of course included in it. And if you want to join my paid batch, you can definitely let me know. Otherwise, of course, I am available on YouTube. Now you have to understand that an average human brain weighs around 1.34 kgs, and this is something that you have to remember. An average human brain, it weighs around 1.34 kgs, but it can vary from person to person, so you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to remember the exact weight of every human being out there, right? You just have to remember this average brain weight. That's all you have to remember. Now again, you have to remember that you have central nervous system and peripheral nervous system, and in this video we will be talking about central nervous system. So central nervous system has brain and spinal cord. Brain is very much important and spinal cord is very much important in your central nervous system. As you can see, the blue part is your spinal cord, and I have highlighted this part, which is your central nervous system, and it is your brain. So whole brain and whole spinal cord is making your C.N.S. Brain is made up of bundle nerves, and here you can see we have three brains. We have forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain, and we have four lobes. Frontal is in the front, parietal is just behind the frontal, occipital is located at the back of your brain, and temporal is definitely located on your temples on the sides of your forehead. Now let's discuss about the forebrain. But before that, I want to tell you something that the outer layer of your brain is called cerebrum and cerebral cortex. So both are the same. You can call it cerebrum or you can even call it cerebral cortex. So as you can see, this is the outer layer of your brain, which is made up of cerebral cortex, which is called cerebral cortex, and it is responsible for higher cognitive functions. So when you talk about higher cognitive functions, these happen in your cerebral cortex. So all the higher cognitive functions, important cognitive functions, will definitely happen in your cerebral cortex. And it is divided into two symmetrical halves, left hemisphere and right hemisphere. I'll tell you something that will play a very important role in your life, and of course in your CUT, and you will have to remember it if you're also preparing for RCI, MPhil, or any other entrance exam of psychology. This will be very important. You have to remember that your right side of the brain controls the left side of your body and the functions that the left side of your body has, and the left side of your brain controls the right side of your body. So left is responsible for the right is responsible for the left. So it is also called split brain, because left side is never responsible for the left. It is not like that. Our brain does not work like that. Our brain works cross sectionally, in a cross section way, where left will be responsible for right will be responsible for left, and this is how it goes. This is why it is very, very important for you to remember our brain never works in a straight away manner. Yes, that left will do left, right will do right. No, they will tell each other to do each other's functions. And left hemisphere, you can say left brain, right hemisphere, or you can say right brain, are important for different functions. Left side is responsible for logical, and right side is responsible for a little bit of emotional aspect that your brain has. So the emotional aspect is controlled by right, and the left hemisphere, left side of your brain, left brain, is important for logical. As you can see this image, it controls the right side of your body, that I've already explained, and right side controls the left side of your body. It is written and spoken language. It includes written and spoken language, the things that you write, the things that you speak, your mother tongue or any other language that you've learned. It is all because of your left side, left brain. It is important for mathematical calculations. It is important for logical decision making, and it is important for reasoning. And then you have corpus callosum. As you can see, this purple layer in between, this corpus callosum is dividing left and right hemisphere, and because of corpus callosum, you have the division of left hemisphere and right hemisphere. Without corpus callosum, they won't be able to work, and it basically plays a role of a fevicol. They stick them together. Corpus callosums, I think, are the nerves that stick your left and right side of the brain together to function. And again, let's look at the right side. It is important for understanding language, for non-literal thinking. It is important for spatial awareness. It is important for imagination. The things that you imagine, if you are able to recognize your friend after years, it is definitely because of your right side. And facial recognition is something I've explained to you. Spatial awareness, it means your awareness of your body, awareness of your body parts is definitely under the right side. Left side is logical, right side is about understanding, emotional aspect, non-literal thinking, non-logical thinking, and it is something that you have to remember. The one more thing you have to remember is that your brain is called encephalon because when your brain was developing, it was not fully developed when you were a baby, when you were a child, it was called encephalon, and then when it grew up, it became a human brain. That's how it works. And then you have forebrain, and then you have midbrain and hindbrain, and these are three parts of your brain. These are three parts of your brain which are very very important. So let's get started with the forebrain. We have midbrain and hindbrain, but out of all these three, forebrain is the most important one. Now if you look at the forebrain, it is important for thinking, speech, decision making, memory, and emotion, hunger, and sleep. It is definitely important for all these executive functions. I've explained you the outer layer, and I've also explained you that yes, your brain is divided into right and left hemisphere. Also, Roger Sperry, this name is important because he did research on these two hemispheres, and that is why his name is very important because he was responsible for doing the research. Then again, right hemisphere is important for image, musical ability, spatial relations, patterns, and it is connected by corpus callosum, which is like a bundle of nerves, right? That's all you have to remember. Then you have four lobes that we will be definitely talking about. I hope you have understood the forebrain and the function of the forebrain. We will talk about your lobes as well. You do not have to worry about it. But first, let's talk about brains that we have. Three kinds of brain: forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. And then we will come to lobes. Before coming to the lobes, we will have to go through all these. Now we have basal ganglia. Now you can see basal ganglia. I'll show you the image of basal ganglia, and this red part is your basal ganglia, and this, as you can see, is marked. This is your forebrain. I hope you have understood this. And now we will talk about basal ganglia, which is again found in forebrain. It is very very important, and it is found in forebrain, and it plays a very important role. It controls the voluntary motor movement. The motor movement you do, voluntary means something that you do intentionally, something that you do knowingly. And procedural learning, whenever you go through a process of learning, that is called procedural learning, and it is often related to the procedural memory as well. The eye movement you do and the habit learning that you do, it is important for that as well. So this is something that you have to know, that what are the functions of basal ganglia. Now if it is damaged, you will not be able to learn through a process which is called procedural learning. You won't be able to do voluntary motor movement. Voluntary motor movement, again, something that you're doing intentionally, you won't be able to do that. If you want to move your arm, you won't be able to do that. Then we have limbic system. I think I will be showing you the image of the limbic system as well. So limbic system has thalamus, it has pineal gland. It does not have pineal gland here, it's just shown pineal gland, but your limbic system has thalamus, it has hippocampus, it has cerebellum, it has amygdala. You can see it has uh, hypothalamus, and this is the outer layer which is called the cerebrum, and then basal ganglia as well. So this is your limbic system. And if I explain you the meaning of it in the simplest way, it is very important to do the functions that are required in a body. I'll explain you how by these organs. So we have cingulate cortex. Cingulate cortex is also a part of limbic system, and it is the largest part of the limbic system. So again, it can come to your exam. What is the largest part of the limbic system? So it's cingulate cortex, and it plays an important role in decision making. So whenever you make an important decision of your life or any random decision, it is very important, and that is why it is called cingulate cortex. Cortex means an outside layer, and it is involved in the experience of pain. So when you experience pain, without this, the pain experience won't be able to happen. Then you have fornix. Fornix is very important. It connects hippocampus. I'll tell you in short that hippocampus is important for memory. So it connects your hippocampus and other limbic areas to mammillary bodies. Mammillary bodies are the bodies that are important for recollective memory. When you do recollection of your memories, those are called mammillary bodies. So for recollective memories, it is important. And what does it do? Fornix, it connects hippocampus to the other mammillary bodies which are important for recollective memory. Then you have spetum. Spetum is, you can call it septum, anything you want. I just forgot the pronunciation for a while. It is called septum, and it inhibit aggressive behavior. So your aggressive behavior gets inhibited by this. When you're too aggressive, it controls your aggressive behavior. So it plays a role in pleasure. When you are too aggressive, you get a little bit of pleasure because of it, the reward, the social outing that you do, the bonding that you make with people, and it helps calm aggression and regulate fear responses. So when you have the fear responses too much, it regulates that in fight or flight, and also it calms aggression. So if it would not exist, petum or whatever you say, however you pronounce it, doesn't matter. I hope you have understood that this is important for inhibiting aggressive behavior. Then you have hippocampus. Hippocampus is important for encoding of memories. Again, I've told you it is related to memory. So encoding means when you take in your memories, right? So it is important because it is for memories, and memories are very important in a human being. And then it is a curved structure, and it is inside the temporal lobe. It is very much deep inside the temporal lobe. I am going to show you this green part. It is curved and it is inside the temporal lobe, because here it is shown on the side, and it is important for memory. Now it plays a role in memory processing. So again, you have to remember that in memory processing, whenever you have memory and when you process them, it plays a very important role. And it also plays a very important role in short term memory and long term memory. When I say short term memory, long term memory, it means that it will turn something short term to long term. And if it is not working, if your hippocampus is damaged, your short term memories will never be converted into long term memories. Also, it is called consolidation of memories. What are consolidation of memory? We will discuss in the memory chapter as well. But here you just have to understand consolidation of memories means converting something short term that you've seen, that you've witnessed, into long term. And the transfer of short term into long term is called consolidation. That you have to understand. You can say convert, you can say transfer, and you can name it as the consolidation of memories that happens in hippocampus. Hippocampus is also important for factual knowledge, episodic memory, something that has happened. It could be an episode, maybe your birthday, maybe the accident that happened. It could be related to episodes. It is called episodic memory. And factual knowledge means that you have some facts that you have kept in your mind, which are very important. And hippocampus is of course important for factual knowledge as well as episodic memory. Now what happens when there is a damage in hippocampus? You have anterograde amnesia. Anterograde amnesia is a kind of amnesia where we cannot form new memories. So new memories you will not be able to form, right? So you have old memories, they are intact. But if I talk about the new memories, they are not intact because you have damage in your hippocampus, which can lead to anterograde amnesia. And anterograde amnesia, which we call it AA, anterograde amnesia. I will write it AA because sometimes you don't have to write the full name of it. It's too tiring because it's such a big name. You can just say AA. You will not be able to form new memories. You will remember what happened in your childhood, just like 3 4 years ago. You will be able to remember. But if I ask you what did you have for dinner, you will not be able to tell me because it is a part of the new memory. Then you have olfactory bulbs. It is also part of your limbic system. It's not that important. They are located within the temporal lobes, and you have to remember that these are processing your smell. So if you have smelled Maggie, if you have smelled anything your mama is making, if you have smelled roses, if you have smelled flowers, the processing of that smell will happen in olfactory bulbs. And then you have amygdala. Your amygdala is important because it is in your limbic system, and every part of the limbic system is important. And you have amygdala in an almond shaped structure, and it is inside the temporal lobe, and it is next to hippocampus. That is something you have to understand, and it is very important for emotion processing, which means that when you feel fear, when you feel anger, when you feel aggression, it is important for that. So the fear processing, the anger processing, the aggression processing will happen in amygdala. And now we will talk about the other functions as well. Let's look at the other functions as well. So first, it is important for processing your fear, your aggression. That is of course important. And also for fight or flight responses, amygdala is very important. And in facial expression, social cues, when you see something in the society, the cues you see, the facial expressions that you make, that you see when you process it, the facial expressions, the empathy, amygdala is very, very important for that as well. Okay, now you have to remember when you have Kulbabusi syndrome, this is a syndrome that happens when there is a damage in amygdala. What happens when you have a trauma, when because of an accident your amygdala got damaged? What will happen? You will have these three, four things that I will be talking about. So you will have Hyperorality means you will examine objects by mouth. So if you want to check an object, you will use your mouth for that. You have hyperphagia, which means you have excessive eating. So you will eat a lot. That is called hyperphagia. You will excessively eat because your body is not able to process emotions. So that will happen if you have this Kulva-Busi syndrome, which is when your amygdala is damaged. And then you have hypersexuality. You will have unusual sexual behavior. I'm not talking about the normal sexual behavior that you usually have. I'm talking about the unusual sexual behavior that will lead to so many other outcomes, and that only happens in Kolba-Busi syndrome. Then you have visual agnosia, which is when you're not able to recognize familiar objects or people. You will not be able to recognize your phone, your laptop, your mom, or anyone around you. Knew for a very long time, because this is something that will not be able to process people. And then you have docility, emotional blunting. You will not feel fear, because that's the main role of an amygdala. It will process fear and aggression, but if there is a damage in it, you will not be able to process fear, you will not be able to process aggression, and that will lead to this Kolba-Bosi syndrome. It only happens when you are dealt with wi- a trauma, when you are um, having some sort of issues in your brain, you have an accident, you had a surgery, and after that there was a damage in the amygdala. It only happens when. And then you have thalamus. Thalamus is also a part of a limbic system, which is the major relay station. It will be important for processing all the senses, from your vision to your auditory senses. Every senses will be processed by thalamus. But if I'm talking about every senses, I'm not talking about smell. So thalamus is important for processing every sensory information, but it will not be able to process smell, because smell is only processed by olfactory bulbs, which are not located in thalamus. Now we have hypothalamus. As you know, we have different parts of hypothalamus that we will be talking about, because this is a revision video, but this is gonna be in enough detail, so you don't have to go through anything else after this. If you want, that's totally fine, but this is enough. And if I'm a little quick, just let me know. But we will talk about hypothalamus. So hypothalamus is located in the base of your brain. As you can see this image, I'll show it to you. It is located in the base of a brain. Yeah, here you can see this is located at the base of a brain, and it is important for all the survival functions. When I talk about all the survival functions, it means that you are, doing sexual pleasure, you are getting hunger, you're getting body temperature, you're getting thirst, sleep, wake cycle. Everything is responsible in hypothalamus homeostasis. So hypothalamus is important for all the survival functions, and it is located in the base of the brain. It is important for hunger, most importantly sexual pleasure, and to maintain a balance, to regulate. And we will talk about three kinds of hypothalamus that we have. We have lateral, we have ventromedial, and we have anterior. If I talk about lateral hypothalamus, then it is located on the sides of the hypothalamus, right? And it is important for hunger, thirst, and it will be important for stimulating eating and drinking. So if your lateral hypothalamus is damaged, you will not be able to feel hungry, you will not be able to drink water, because that is not coming from inside of your body, it is not coming from within. And that is why lateral hypothalamus is very important. If you have aphasia with a G in it, you have loss of hunger. Adipsia, which is loss of thirst, will happen because it will not be able to stimulate it. It will be damaged. Then we have ventromedial hypothalamus. At the bottom of the hypothalamus, it is located, and it signals fullness. So if you are full, then it is because of ventromedial. Your ventromedial hypothalamus will let you know that you're full. But what if it is damaged? You will not be able to know that you're full or not. Or maybe if it is severely damaged, then you will not be ever full. I mean, you will be full, but at the same time will not be full. So you have eaten a lot, but your body will not be able to process that you're full, and that is why it leads to obesity. And of course obesity has many other reasons, but this could be a part of it. Now we have anterior hypothalamus, which is in the front portion of the hypothalamus. It is important for thermoregulation. When you are sweating, your body cools down. When you're walking in the sun and you are sweating a lot, and after that, even if there is a little bit of wind, your body will cool down, you will feel relaxed, and sweating could be a part of it, because it is releasing toxins. You're feeling better. And if your body doesn't sweat, even if it is so hot outside and it's not sweating, then you do not have the cooling aspect in you. You do not get cooled down. Your body does not let you get cooled down. It could be the damage in anterior hypothalamus. You will always be hot. Of course not in that way, you could be hot, but in your body, in terms of your body, you will not be that hot, because your body is not releasing sweat. Yeah. And it is also important for sexual behavior. Hope you understood. And of course we studied about basal ganglia. Basal ganglia, I showed you the image of it as well, and this was your hypothalamus. and three kinds of hypothalamus that we did study right now. Let's talk about midbrain, shall we? And let's talk about midbrain. Now we discussed about the forebrain and we will discuss about the midbrain now because it is important. Now, if we talk about the midbrain, then we will talk about few parts of it. Midbrain may you have tectum, which is called roof, and you have tegmentum, which is called floor. Now, in tectum, you have two important parts. You have superior colliculus. I will zoom it a little bit. I hope you can see now. Yeah, I think you can see now. Wait, let me arrange it. I want to make it a little big for you because my handwriting is not that good. Okay, I hope you can see it clearly now. And let's talk about midbrain. So you have tectum. Tectum is your roof. It is called the roof, and you have two parts in it. You have superior colliculus, which is very important for eye reflexes, your movement of the eyes, the reflexes of the eyes. It is for vision. Inferior colliculus is for hearing reflexes. Now in tegmentum, you it is called floor. First of all, it has substantia nigra. What is substantia nigra? Substantia nigra is a place where you have dopamine. The excess of dopamine is released by the substantia nigra. It is a black substance, as you can clearly see, and it has PAG and RAS that we will be talking about it. First, let's look at PAG. PAG is called periaqueductal gray, which is important for pain modulation. Why endorphins? Endorphins are the natural painkillers, and the pain modulation happens in this PAG, which is in the midbrain tegmentum part. Okay, happy to explain you this. Now let's look at another function of midbrain, which is important, and it is very important because it plays a role of a bridge. It connects a hindbrain. I don't know if it's called hindbrain or hindbrain. Do let me know, but it is a hindbrain, I think. So it connects hindbrain and forebrain. That is a very important function of your midbrain that you have to remember. Now you have RAS that we talked about, but we did not explain. I will explain you in short that RAS is called reticular activating system. It is responsible for arousal. It is important for alertness and activeness. Right now you're alert watching this, and I'll also give you an example. So you are sitting in your car, and out of the blue, you're driving. You're on the driving seat. You're driving, and then you saw a cat. As soon as you saw a cat, you took a break because you were alert. Even though you were listening to music, there were people in your car, they were talking to you, but as soon as you saw that car, you got alert. Your RAS, reticular activating system, got activated, and then you stopped the car. You took a break because your RAS was activated. Imagine in the situation your RAS is not activated, the poor cat could have died because your RAS is not activated. It is important for sudden arousal, alertness that you have, the activeness that you have in some situations. And if it is damaged, then it will lead to coma, it will lead to brain dead because you are not active, and when you're not active and your brain is not active, it will lead to coma. Let's talk about hindbrain. Hindbrain is very important, vital, of course. It is important for regulating crucial bodily functions like breathing. You do breathing because of hindbrain. You have sleep cycles that are managed by the hindbrain. It contains nerve pathways for sensory and motor information such as face, eyes, and balance. Again, this is important, and this is something that you have to know. Information passing between the forebrain and the spinal cord. This is very important because it passes information between the forebrain and the spinal cord. Right? I'll repeat it again. Information passing between the forebrain and the spinal cord, and it is the last brain. As you can see, this image is given to you. This is your forebrain. I will change the color. This is your midbrain, you can see, and this pink part is your hindbrain. You can take a screenshot, you can see it on Google. This is available on Google as well, so don't worry. But this is how your three brains look like. Let's talk about hindbrain. When your hindbrain is developing, it is called rhombencephalon, and it is the lowest point. And this is the structure, and you can see it is the lowest point, and it is very important for common bodily functions, as I have already mentioned: face, eyes, balance, coordination, sensory and motor information. Then you have brainstem. Again, just like limbic system, it is made up of few important organs, few important parts of the brain. Your brainstem is also very important for all the main and vital functions that are there in your hindbrain, and these consist of your brainstem. Your pons, medulla, and cerebellum make the brainstem that we will be talking about. Pons play the role of a bridge. You have to understand. Pons are important because they play a role of a bridge. They connect midbrain that we talked about, medulla oblongata. It is also part of your a brainstem, bridging information between spinal cord, cerebellum, and other parts of the body. So basically, other parts of the brain. Sorry. So basically, it is a bridge, right? And it is also important for breathing, it is important for sleep cycles, and it is important for nerve pathways for sensory and motor information, whatever sensory information you get from your senses, motor information, you want to move your body, motor information, you have the movements, right? It is very important, and pawns are responsible for that. Let's talk about cerebellum again. There are key terms that you have to remember. It is called a little brain. It is called the little brain because it is very important, and it acts like a brain. It acts like a small brain, and that is why your cerebellum is called the little brain, right? That is why it is important, and it is important for motor learning also. And also it is important for coordination, posture, balance, and cognitive processing. So if damage, again, if your cerebellum, again, it's called the little brain, the mini brain, you can call it whatever you want, because it is important for coordination, mostly all the important brain functions. That is why it is called the little brain. Again, for motor learning it is important. And what happens if there is a damage in the cerebellum? You will have ataxia, which is loss of control of voluntary muscles. Involuntary means the muscles, the movement that you can't control, and voluntary, the movement that you can't you can control. Sorry. So voluntary, the movements that you can control, and involuntary, the movements that you can't control. And it is important because it will impair your standing when you walk. You'll not be able to do that. The basic functions you'll not be able to perform. Then you have oblongata. Oblongata and medulla oblongata is its name. You can call it medulla as well. And it is, when it's developing, it is called myencephalon, and it lies deep within the head. And it lies deep within the brain, within the head. You can call it whatever you want. Again, it has a name. It is vital center of the body because it is for involuntary. You can't control it. The movements that you can't control. So it's involuntary, and it is important for unconscious features, unconscious functions. When you have blood flow, you have blood pressure, you have heart rate, you have breathing, you have involuntary reflexes like swallowing and coughing. It is important for that. It is not in your control. And then you have reticular activating system. Your reticular activating system is important in arousal. It is very important in arousal. And you have two kinds of reticular activating system. You have ascending reticular activating system, and you have descending reticular activating system. So let's look at the ascending and the descending one. It's not that important, but you have to know that the ascending one will move towards the cerebral cortex, the outer layer. It will move towards that, and it is very important for the loud noise that you get for auditory tracts, and it's also important for spinothalamic tract. Pinch on the arm, you get the alertness when there is a loud noise. You get the alertness because RAS is very important for arousal and alertness. And descending RAS is very important. First of all, you have to know that it is very very important because it directly travels down the spinal road, by a spinal cord. It directly travels down the spinal cord, and it's called the descending reticular activating system. It adjusts your posture. It is responsible for consciousness, regulation of skeletal muscles, control facial expressions. And this is something that you have to know. Now I'll give you another example of it. One example, if there is a loud noise, you'll get the alertness. It will be because of the sensory gating that you have. So RAS, sensory gating, is like a filter. It blocks out useless information. It lets in important new dangerous things, someone calling your name or a loud alarm. If it is damaged, then coma can happen, as we have discussed. But again, if you have too much attention, then ADHD can happen. As you can see, ADHD people have too much attention around them. They get too much activated. They're always overstimulated. Then you have brainstem death. We have discussed the parts of the brainstem. So if they don't work, then you have loss of ability to breathe on their own. Then you do not have the consciousness, and you cannot feel pain and even wake up. And again, and you can see this image, anterior is on the left side, posterior is on the right side, dorsal is the up part of it, the down part of it is called ventral, and it is also called caudal and rostral, and as you can see it. And then we have gray matter and white matter that we will be discussing. Only important was UTPG. So if I talk about the gray matter, then you have mainly neuronal cells, your body, dendrites and synapses, and functions information processing. It is located outside out in the outer cortex, and it is located in the spinal cord. So where do you find the gray matter the most? You find gray matter the most in outer cortex and in the spinal cord. It is mainly neuron, cell bodies, and dendrite and synapses. What is the function of the gray matter? For information processing. Then you have white matter. It is very important for, they are first of all myelinated axons. It is important for fast transmission of signals. That the fast transmission happens, the signals that you get in your brain, the fast processing of the signals, the transmission of the signals is because of white matter, and it is located in the brain, the inner region of the brain. It is definitely found in the outer region of spinal cord. So brain, the gray part is outside and white part is inside, and here it's inside, and in spinal cord white part is outside and gray part is inside, so it's the other way around. Then you have three menonings are your three important layers that are there in your brain to protect you. These are attached to your skull, if you remember, and these are three protective layers that we will be talking about. They cover your brain and they cover your spinal cord. If we talk about central nervous system, then brain and spinal cord will be protected by these three layers, whereas in your peripheral nervous system, which are made up of nerves, your protection will only be given by dura and pia matter. We have arachnoid, which is not there in your PNS to protect PNS. You only have dura and pia matter. In your CNS, you have three of them. The whole three layers are there in your CNS, which are dura, which are arachnoid, and pia matter. Now you have dura matter. This is the outermost layer and it is thick, and then you have arachnoid, which is the middlemost, and it is made up of large blood vessels that you have to remember. And we have subarachnoid space. So as you can see, we have arachnoid membrane and then your pia matter, and between this you have a space, right? As you can see, between this you have a space which is called, this you can see, this is called subarachnoid space, and this is a space where you have large blood vessels, and it is a space between arachnoid membrane and pia matter. Now it is important and it consists of cerebrospinal fluid, which is a clear fluid. What is the function of this fluid? It protects the central nervous system. All the waste products are important. The dispose of the waste products are done by the CSF, which is a cerebrospinal fluid, and it delivers the nutrients to the brain, to the central nervous system, and that is why this is a very important space. Then you have Mia matter, because it is so deep inside it, it is soft and it is not that good for protection because it is deep inside it. It is called soft mother because it's very soft. It is innermost layer because it's innermost, it's soft, and it is small. It is made up of small size blood vessels, and it has choroid plexus which produces CSF. So we discussed about CSF. So who makes a CSF? Your choroid plexus, and choroid plexus is found in the deepest layer of your protective layers out of three pia matter, and in that you have choroid plexus which produces CSF, cerebrospinal fluid. And again, you have one and two ventricles. You have total four ventricles, but if you really ask the meaning of ventricles, these are four interconnected hollow spaces. Now when you talk about brain, you think that every part of the brain is full, but no, some of the brain parts are not full, they're empty. So you can say that they're empty, and those empty spaces are called ventricles. These are cavities inside the brain. So they are filled with CSF that we just talked about, and these are small fluid filled rooms inside the brain, right? And let's discuss about these ventricles, and after that we will be done. So why are ventricles present? The ventricles are present to help to produce and to store and circulate CSF, because CSF will get circulated and ventricles will be important, and that is why they exist. Now let's talk about lateral ventricles. If I talk about lateral ventricles, then in lateral ventricles, because lateral means from the both sides, so lateral ventricles have one and two important ventricles included in it, right? So you do not have to search for one and two ventricles. Lateral ventricles include of one and two ventricles. There are two, one in each cerebral hemisphere. So there are two ventricles in lateral, it means two parts of it. So there are two lateral ventricles, two pair you can say, and sorry, one pair you can say, and one each is in cerebral hemisphere, that we just discussed. The left hemisphere would have one and right hemisphere would have one. And these are the largest ventricles. Again, it can come in your exam, it will be important. And most of the CSF is produced here, right? And one in left and one in right, that I've already discussed. Then you have third, so it is a single narrow cavity. As you can see, the third one, this is the third one, this is the front view and this is the side view. The third ventricle is a very narrow cavity, it is a very narrow space, and it is located in diencephalon between thalamus. I'll also show you the place where I have written diencephalon. Diencephalon is nothing but the developing part which you grow up and it turns into hypothalamus and thalamus. So it is again located in hypothalamus and thalamus between thalamus. Of course it's the same thing. It receives cerebrospinal, I always forget the name, I'm so sorry. It is located in cerebrospinal fluid from both of the lateral ventricles. It is very important. And now we have another term which is called aqueduct. Cerebral aqueduct is very important. It narrow channel in the midbrain, and it connects the third ventricle to the fourth ventricle. So again, it is important for connecting the third and the fourth one. What is the fourth one? It is very important because it lies in the pons and the in the medulla oblongata. These are the names. Phalons are developing parts of the brain which turn into a full grown part, as you can already see. And this was everything we discussed. It was a very quick video, but I hope it helped. And yeah, thank you.